There it is. All right, so I just pushed the record button so everybody's aware of that.
I did post for everybody to go to Crowing 11 on the Facebook page.
Oh, thank you. That's awesome. The more feelers we can get out there, the better.
Should try calling my sister. I'm sure she's being technically challenged.
She texted me and maybe she emailed me. I texted her back.
Oh, did you? Oh.
There we go. Let's see. She says she's waiting to get into the meeting, so she'll be waiting a while. I just sent her the link. Let's see if that
okay.
works. John Pessonen is just sending a new link. I'm assuming there's a chat or something here that I can post that to. I'll also post the new link in the website, and then we won't be interrupted.
I just sent you an email. You know, you can just go to crowing11.org and click on it. Yeah, but he said he put up a new one now that works. Yeah.
Hi, Dave Primusberger.
Hello.
So,
We miss you up here this weekend.
Yeah.
crowing11.org.
Is it sunny?
It was this morning, but now it's all clouded over. But it's 65 or 70. I mean, it's nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Supposed to be cool.
That was already out fishing this morning. Caught a bass.
Oh.
Yeah.
Supposed to be cool tomorrow.
Yeah, supposed to hit a big cool down tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear the birds.
Seeing Nancy and Al.
Is anyone seeing any baby loons on the lake? Because we have a nest over here and the eagles are just on them. Like,
Oh,
they're crying. I'm just sick about it. I haven't seen babies for 2 years.
Yeah, eagles do that.
Ugh,
I like them both. I like them both, but it's too bad they.
Oh, we need some baby loons though.
Yeah, I know.
mm-hmm.
It's nature. It's tough to.
The nest is over here on Soli Bay at the end of the lake here, and the eagles are swooping down on it all the time.
When you watch the meeting.
Oh.
I think Vicky is directing Lisa how to get on.
I think it'll open.
Sometimes if you join through the browser, it's easier. It's the direct through
There's Lisa.
Zoom.
She was in the waiting room, so here she comes.
Okay.
It's like she's on.
Yep, we're getting more and more here.
Connecting.
Hey, Lisa. No, she's still there. She goes.
There we go.
Hey, Lisa.
There we go.
Bye.
Hi.
We can't see her.
What happened to the Thompsons? Oh, there they are.
Where'd you go?
Hi, Nate. You're there. You're still
Yeah, we
there.
got you, Lisa.
Oh, I don't see anything.
Oh,
You're zooming.
It says launch meeting.
oh, you have to turn on your video.
There it is.
I don't think Al and Nancy have their audio on.
Yeah. Nancy, can you guys hear us?
Sam.
Hi, Pam.
Yeah.
Where's Scott?
I know.
God. Oh, he's at the top. Oh. He's fishing.
Yeah, he wishes.
All right, well, we'll wait just a couple more minutes. I
Last
realize we're a little late. John did send out a new link, so I'll have to coordinate when the best time to cut over to that is. Does anybody know the free ones do still end after 40 some minutes, right?
Oh,
Okay.
are you using a free one?
Yeah, this was just a free one, kind of an emergency, get it up and running kind of thing. So we didn't lose people.
I'll just grab the dog.
Oh.
As he wants to be part of the
I
meeting.
have company.
What's your dog's name, Alan Nancy?
Phoebe,
Phoebe. What an awesome name.
their daughter's dog.
Okay.
We're babysitting.
Ah, how does Phoebe like the cabin?
She loves it,
Everything about it.
Nice.
just like us.
Yep. We don't have Jerry. Jerry, I texted him.
Oh, was he planning to join?
Well, he texted me at 10:08. I texted him back to go back to our website for the new Zoom link, but I don't see him here.
I had launched the original link from the website, and then I had to close that window and then relaunch.
Yeah. I'll say that right now. All right, well, let's, when I think I get like a 5-minute warning. Let's keep on this one till we get there. Otherwise, we're gonna lose more people because we're switching again. So let's get everybody on this one first, and then we'll cut over maybe two. Does that sound like a plan?
Yep. Sure.
All right, cool. So I'll try to keep an eye on the participant list. Vicky was going to take notes, but Vicky, we're asking if there's anybody else that wants to take them, just so we can kind of compare. I don't know if anybody has a scribbling pad or something, they can just scribble down some notes as we're going along. So let me figure out how to share my screen. There we go. Hopefully you can see the agenda. I just popped it up on the screen.
Yep.
So we're going to go through this a little quickly. I think Vicky had already proposed this, and it's even probably more useful now. We're going to have to move the introductions, I think, to the end, just to make sure we get through all the content. So we're not leaving stuff out. We'll go over the fall minutes. We've got Lisa, so we can go over our treasurer report. And a lot of these, I think, are really going to go pretty quickly. We've got the AIS to talk about, really pondweed, any updates there. The main one is kind of watercraft inspection program that we talk about every spring and fall. Kind of the big topic, I suppose, is the culvert replacement and making sure we're all on the same page of what the plans are there. I think if everything goes according to plan, this will be the very final update and we will be living it as of the fall. So that will be great. Talk about the outlet on 11th Crowing that the start of the Crowing River that feeds into 10th Crowing, or some changes made last summer. We've got a loon nest question from somebody on Soley Bay that we need to repair or remove it. Website renewal, we want to kind of pre-approve that if we move forward. Got some volunteer report type stuff, COLA. And then I think this is kind of a big one for me, is this what's next? Because I don't actually know. I think that's going to be up to group decision on where we focus next. Our big topic that we've been kind of all consumed by is this bridge culvert replacement, and that should be wrapping up here. So we should have time and energy to kind of work on what's next. Any questions on agenda before we read the minutes? All right, we'll head to the minutes here. Can you still, did the minutes pop up? Kind of a rookie here on Zoom. I do Teams a lot, but or can you still see the agenda?
Yeah, looks good.
Okay, all right. So here's the minutes. They're a little bit condensed. So John had recorded the meeting. I've got the link right here and I will post this to the website. I've been doing a terrible job of attaching old minutes, but they all live on my laptop. I just need to move them to the website and everybody can view them for posterity's sake if you want. So if you want to see the actual fall meeting, you just click on that link with this passcode and you can watch the whole thing.
Oh, Scott, I just deleted it because I started this. I can't, I don't have space for both meetings.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. No problem.
So that's gone now.
Okay, no problem. I'll take that out. But the minutes should be pretty accurate. So it's condensed, but yeah, we ended up with a page and a half. I think it's pretty good. So this was an update from Jerry. And so again, we're just kind of looking to approve these minutes. So I'll just run through it real quick. He was basically talking about the fact that we did get a bonding bill approved through both houses. That added 2.4 million to our existing 1.6 million approved budget that MnDOT had. We talked about the fact that although it was approved, it was not earmarked. MnDOT doesn't like earmarks, and I don't think there's anybody from MnDOT on this call, but they kind of pulled a fast one on us. They used the money, they took the money, but they didn't use it for a bridge. So we had talked about that possibility that could happen, that was a risk, that since the money wasn't earmarked for a project, it could be used for other things. And that is, appears anyway, what actually happened. So that money was not there. So it forced Jerry and Senator Uckey and kind of the Lake Association into a Plan B situation where we had to then go back and get new support for a bridge or an upsized culvert. And so we had a meeting with Jerry, just kind of a small group meeting, just where he kind of gave an update. The update that I posted to the website is kind of a condensed version of that meeting. Vicki and was there. It was about what, an hour and a half, I think we talked. So
Yeah.
Jerry's got a long list of documented letters, back and forth official letters between MnDOT, between Jerry and Senator Uckey, kind of discussing the issue and just how this wasn't really acceptable, that we were going to proceed with a 12 by 12 interior size culvert. So long story short, bridge funding probably could have been pursued. The bigger issue was the time. So I think in the email or in the website, 3 to 6 years that this would be pushed out, this project would be pushed out. If we went to a bridge, because it would require an all new design. Basically, they'd be starting from scratch, including having to resurvey everything. So that is a big deal. And I think there was some concern, like, just based on representation of, was Jerry still going to be there in 3 to 6 years? Kind of unknown also with Senator Uckey. So we might be losing some of that really close support that you kind of need to advance such a big project forward. And there was a risk of kind of losing it all together. So huge props to Jerry. He was tenacious. He kept at it. He wasn't going to let up, even though I think it took a lot of horsepower and it took a lot of legwork to kind of keep this moving. I think the best solution that he arrived at, and I actually think it's a pretty good solution, is to change from a bridge, which would have been about a 20-foot width. The height was a little bit in question, whether it was 7 feet, 7.5, 8 feet, since the design wasn't finalized. But moving to a 14 by 14 culvert. So that's the inside dimensions. So you can imagine just about every boat on our lake is going to be 8 feet or under in width. It's pretty rare to have boats that go above 8 feet in width. It is possible, but you're essentially, from a highway transportation side, that becomes difficult. So that you'd have 3 foot of clearance on either side, assuming you were going dead center down the culvert with an 8 foot wide boat. And then the height of the culvert, if they move it to the current invert elevation, would give us 7.5 feet of height clearance. So that becomes very important for the larger boats, especially pontoons, wakeboard boats, I guess, as well. Those are the tallest of the boats we probably have on the lake. Windshield boats, any windshield boat's going to fit through that, no problem. You're just going to sail through waves or not, water level changes or not. Those on the lake with pontoons, and I know there's a lot of us or a lot of you. I guess you'll just have to kind of look at your pontoon and maybe take some measurements. But ultimately 7.5 feet is where it should be set initially. I don't know whether they'll be settling. I guess I will assume they'll be settling. How much it settles is anybody's guess. I suppose it depends on how much they disturb the bottom where they set the culvert sections on. If they don't disturb it much, it shouldn't settle more than a couple inches. If they do disturb it a lot, not an engineering mind on civil type things, but maybe 6 inches. So I know like some of the larger pontoons or just pontoons in general have the bimini tops. So I guess you could take a height measurement from kind of the water line on the back of your pontoon to the bimini top. If it's under, say, 7 feet, seems like you would be pretty good to move through there. Has anybody actually taken a measurement, I guess, on their pontoon boat? I don't have a great sense for that. I'm guessing it's about 6 feet, 6.5, but I don't really know for sure. I guess we'll play that later. So anyway, I'm talking long on kind of our agenda item, but this is going to come up later. So anyway, so that was the proposal then to move forward with the 14 by 14 culvert, and we can talk about that more. We do have an agenda item later on. So again, just in the minutes here, approve the minutes. This was the treasurer report as of Halloween 2020. I know Lisa's got some new numbers. We talked about pre-approving our boat inspection funds, which we did use. We'll talk about that. Ken gave a water quality update in the fall, kind of what he saw last year. We discussed getting an updated address list. This is probably the only time I'll talk about that. We did actually get that from Skip Scadam, who's my neighbor. He sent me a listing of anybody who touches 10th crowing and 11th crowing. So I sent out the mailings in 2 batches. One was the first Monday, went out to everybody on my existing email, which is probably most of you. And then there were 54 new addresses I got out of Skip's database, and those went out the following Monday. So I think the Boyles were probably on that list. I don't know if there's anybody else in the call here. Hey, Cliff and Julie. So hopefully we reach some new homeowners because that is important for us to do. CLP, we talked about the outlet of 11th. We have an update on that today. We talked about whether we should discuss with other Crow Lake associations. I kind of gave the summary in our newsletter on that. We agreed to May 22nd, which is today. And then we talked about kind of VRBOs and their impact on kind of the community. So any questions on the minutes? I will try to post this to the website. But if we could have a motion and a second to approve, and then we'll see if there's any discussion.
I make a motion to approve the minutes. Ken?
Second.
Okay.
Was it?
So that was Ken Emick on the motion. I think that was Pam on the second.
Okay.
All right, any discussion on the minutes? Any changes that need to be made? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against say nay. All right, so minutes are approved. All right, back to our agenda. All right, treasurer's report, and I think we have Lisa on.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, you want to give us kind of a quick rundown of our?
We've got 4,431.63 in the bank. We did pay 924 out in January for the boat inspections for this year.
Okay.
I'm getting envelopes every day, so I haven't even opened them yet.
Okay,
My AIS fund is a negative $1,053. And my general fund is 5,484.63.
okay. I think we might have talked about this in the past, but is there any appetite for, this goes out to everybody, I guess, combining the AIS fund into just the general? So we don't have to, I mean, we keep tracking to a negative number. And I think the 924 comes out of that fund.
Yeah, it's just at one point somebody was designating, a lot of people were designating money to go to AIS versus general. So unless we stop caring about that, then,
Let's see, yeah.
as a lake association, we're always going to be wanting to do the boat inspections.
Yep. AIS is aquatic invasive species, I think I heard somebody ask. So that's things like zebra mussels or faucet snails or curly pondweed is kind of a AIS, not officially, but
Do we need to keep that open in regard to getting any grant money from the government for that purpose?
I don't think so.
they don't give us any more because they don't consider CLP an AIS, unfortunately.
Then I say keep it simple.
I'll combine them.
Cool.
Sounds good.
I like it.
Right here.
All right, so hopefully I was a little more on the ball on getting the newsletters out this year. I know last year I was super late. I was still a little late, but as Lisa said, she's getting letters fast and furious now, so I'm sure some more funds will come in that way. I have to send mine in as well. I'll be looking for that, Lisa. I think the printing costs are relatively the same this year. I probably bought some extra stamps, which will just go towards next year. So instead of $100 in stamps, I think I ended up buying 150, something like that. So
Do you know what your expenses were?
it's generally around, I don't have the exact
Okay.
numbers. I want to say the printing costs, they're only $32, but then I think it costs $30 to ship. So I'll figure about 60, 65 for the printing. And then the stamps would have been 150, but I still have the majority of those for next year. So the printing cost, the stamp cost should be less for next year. So it'll probably come in around 210 or so this year, but again, probably $40 will come off next year. We did kind of compare that versus the other crowing lake associations. They were kind of marveling at how little we spent on that because that is their major expense. All three of those other crowing lake associations. I don't know who they're using for printing, but they were spending $300, $400, $500. So I shared with them who I was using. It's like 11 cents a side for black and white printing. The printing itself is not much. It's the stamps that cost more. I think they were doing like full color, like high quality paper type stuff. So that's their choice. They can do that.
Well, if you're interested in help getting them out next time, I'll volunteer us.
Okay.
Because that's a big job.
Yep. Was that Vicky?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Hey,
And Scott, what about the website?
Yes, that'll be, so we'll talk about down here. I have to look at our minutes to see how much it was. I think originally it was 180, which is a great deal. And when we went to renewal, they were going to charge something like 350. And I think we talked them down a little bit because we said we were a nonprofit. And so I think we ended up, anybody remember 250, 280? And it was a 3-year, it's cheapest to go by every 3 years.
Okay, so that was a 3-year thing. That was $250. Okay.
Yep.
I didn't write on here. It was 3 years. Okay.
Yep. So, but I think we are due this February. So that's why I have it as an agenda item because I think we'd want to have pre-approval if we should or shouldn't renew. So that I don't have to kind of scramble at the end. All right. So any questions on the treasury report? That's good. Thanks, Lisa.
Yeah, I had one question. Lisa, what did you say was spent on inspections?
$924.
Okay, thank you.
So it appears that their hourly rate didn't go up. We didn't want to fund additional hours, but we were concerned that their rate might go up. So we'd approved, I don't know, 1,100, I think, up to 1,100 with the hope that it didn't go up. It didn't go up. So that's good for us. It stayed at 924.
Been $924 for the last 3 years.
Yeah. That's good. And they do pay pretty well. I don't remember what, and they're out there. I was talking to the lady last, I guess over the opener on Saturday. A nice lady. She didn't talk my ear off like the guy the year before. I was like trying to get away like, dude, I kind of want to go fishing. Anyway. So regarding AIS, really no update on CLP from my standpoint. I'm interested to hear what others' opinions are. We have very little in front of our dock anymore. It's good. We talked last year and in the fall about the fact that it was generally in front of the Krause's place, which is west of Tom Sandberg and Dan Horn's place on the West Basin. Both of those are west of Lisa and Rich Willhouse. That's kind of the main concentration at this point. DNR will not fund or will not give us a permit to spread chemical. That was a tear my hair out moment for 2 or 3 years, and I'm just kind of done with it. The lady that we have now, I think her name is Nicole, needs to see evidence with GPS coordinates of where Curly Leaf Pond wheat patches are at in the spring before she will grant a permit. It seemed like if you go back 8-10 years ago, we did have CLP that would pop up right away, and we don't seem to have that anymore. I was out there since I was fishing last Saturday, I went over to that spot. I just used my trolling motor. I didn't see any up and growing yet. I'm guessing there will be though later. Anybody else have experience with CLP in front of their place or seen it around the lakes?
I have, Scott. John Poyer here. I haven't seen any yet, though.
Okay. The other complication I didn't mention, the reason why she wouldn't issue a permit and why she wanted it in the spring, they won't grant it after the water temp hits a certain point. And so that's where we're stuck. So we do have CLP, but it doesn't pop up till after we reach that water temp or soon after. So we don't have a window to apply the chemical anymore. You still can hand pull it, I believe. Kind of my experience back when we had it in front of our place is if you're out walking and you're disturbing the roots and you're trying to pull it up, it just makes it, at least my experience was, it made it worse because that stuff just loves to be disturbed. Freshly disturbed bottom, it just spreads to that area super easy. Our natives kind of choke it out, and I generally, we don't walk around our lake bottom very often. I know a lot of people do, and that's fine. It seems to have worked on our place. So I just usually, I'm in my little 12-foot boat and I just reach over and pull them up by the roots. Difficult to really kill it that way. You can kind of control it, but not really kill it. So anything else on CLP? I guess in general, as we move on to the watercraft inspection program, the great news is we seem to be holding. Like we have the snails, we have the CLP, but we don't seem to have anything else, which is great. Ken Emick has been doing veliger sampling of zebra mussels, which is what everybody's probably most concerned about. And to date, we don't have any positive test results on that, which is great.
And we will be doing that again this summer, correct? Because
Yep.
I have the supplies for that.
Yep, we had it in the minutes that we were gonna continue to do that short term at least, even though I think it is $180. We agreed it's just good to know. It's good to know from, maybe not from our lake health standpoint. If we have them, we have them. There isn't much, if anything, we can do, but it helps us inform COLA and keep other lakes, informed if people come into 11th and they go to another lake. We're hoping that they're doing the same, I guess. I guess regarding that, there is a link on the website. If people go to crowing11.org, it'll take you to a Hubbard County website. It will show you all of the invasives by lake. You kind of highlight, you have to kind of go invasive by invasive. It won't show you all of them in one page view, but if you're interested, like, well, which lakes have zebra mussels and which lakes have Eurasian milfoil, you can see that. The only thing I don't like about the website is the one that's hardest to find is the zebra mussels. To me, that should be the one that's the default. When you load it up, that should be front and center. So anyway, I think I listed on the website, or maybe I put it in our newsletter. Actually, I think I've got a picture on the website and also in the newsletter. It shows all the lakes in Hubbard County that have it. And then the big ones off to our east are Leech Lake, 10 Mile Lake, and Winnebagotish. And so those are probably more concerning than the smaller lakes in Hubbard County, because that's how the stuff spreads. People come from the Mississippi River, they go to a big lake, and then they go to all the smaller lakes, afterwards. Because those lakes are, super popular, and lots of people go to Leech and Winnie. And watercraft inspection program, I didn't get the stats from the Hubbard County guy this year, which is a little strange. Normally they send me the stats of like their inspections. How many people entered with boat plugs, how many people had vegetation on their trailer before or after trailering in, because they log all that information. I think in general, we were trending in a good direction where almost everybody was following the, boat plug out when they arrived, and the boat plug came out as soon as they got, trailered back onto the shore. So that kind of dries everything out. That's important for zebra mussels. And then people were doing a pretty good job of checking for vegetation and mud on their trailers as well. So that program just kind of, yeah, go ahead.
Scott, can I ask a quick question? Just to go reel back for 1 second, the snails on your guys' side?
Yep.
Over there by the culvert are pretty immense. What's the strategy for those?
I don't think there is much. I think they're there to stay. We have them certainly on our shoreline. I suppose if you're walking on the water, that's probably the biggest nuisance, is you step on one, and that I'm sure kind of hurts. I remember you used to be, or you still have family in the corner there by Highway 64. Probably.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I've taken thousands out of that area. We don't have them over here, but over at Steve and Diane's cabin and near down from Dave and Vicky. Yeah, they're ridiculous.
I'm guessing the wind is really against you there, where it blows into that corner pretty frequently. Well, maybe not that frequently. It's from the east then, but I don't know. I wonder if that's why. I mean, we have maybe 100, I would see, maybe on our 200.
Oh,
I guess I only look. Yeah.
There's thousands in that corner.
Yeah. So something.
Yeah, there's something
going on there where you're getting more than we are.
Yeah. Okay. Curious.
Yeah, the DNR told me they're edible, so we should find somebody who would like to eat them.
Harvest them.
We should have a social event. That's what they did on the other ones. They get together and do stuff, but we could eat them together.
Okay, you.
I'm joking. I don't think I want to eat them. They are edible, like somebody said.
Yeah.
Good with
Vic,
our-
you can have some great meals right down by your dock there then.
I think they
I'd probably rather go for the rusty crayfish. That sounds a little better to me, but you need about 100 of those to probably be filled up. So the watercraft inspection program is kind of functioning on its own. We don't even have to do anything with Township of Akeley. They just approve us for $900 every year. I think City of Akeley is pretty much the same, and then we contribute $924. Contrasting with the other Crow Wing Lake associations, I just wanted to mention none of them are funding any hours themselves. So they are only taking what COLA provides, which is pretty minimal. You might be covering Saturdays from 6 till 9, and that's about all you could afford with that amount of funding. So I think props to this lake association. We've got really good coverage at our boat launch, both 11th and decent at 10th, more so than the other Crow Wings. So I guess whether we consider that an advantage, I do. I think we're spending less on printing and some things like that, and we're putting it towards boat inspections at the boat launch, which I think is a good thing. I guess I don't know if other people think so as well. But.
Yep. I agree.
It's going to become, we might have more people coming into our lake as we talk about the culvert and we open this into essentially a larger lake. I don't know if that's going to attract outside people coming to our lake more than it used to, but it's something to kind of keep in mind. We might have more boat traffic. You're going from about 500 acres and 300 acres to 800 acres all at once. So anything else on that? Anybody opposed to kind of what we're doing, I guess, on the inspection, the boat inspection?
No.
All right, good. I think it's only been positive. The boat inspectors I've talked to, they've all been super professional. I haven't seen anything bad going on there. All right, so on to culvert replacements, probably the A topic. I haven't seen anything from Jerry. I can't see the list here. Jerry, do we have you on? I don't think so.
There's somebody on here with just the name iPad that I don't know who it is.
That could be me.
Look at that.
Nancy Thompson? No.
I don't know if that's me or not, but it's Poyer, P-O-Y-E-R. I
Yep.
thought
Yours says
Oh,
John's iPad, but
yeah,
the-
that's,
Yep. But the woman that said it could be me, that was you.
That was me, Nancy.
Oh,
I'm on the
Nancy-
iPad. So
Nice.
it could be me.
Yeah, Nancy who?
Gruber.
Gruber. I just want to take attendance.
Okay.
Thanks, Nancy.
Gruber? Thanks, Nancy.
Yep.
Oh, Jerry's sending me a ton of texts. Wow.
Oh,
Whoa, I got
Oh, no.
5 texts. Sorry, Jerry. My apologies to Jerry. It was kind of our all right.
Riley.
All right, so Jerry's update after reading through the text. So we'll move on to the culvert replacement. I guess I'll get to that maybe at the end, what he just sent me. So any questions, I guess, on how we got from 12 by 12 culvert, which was fall of 2018, that was the initial proposal. We had asked to upsize, we were given 160K, which appears not to be correct because it's going to cost more than that. That was our proposal. Then I think the following spring, 2019, Jerry attended and we kind of got started on a new path of pursuing a bridge that we didn't think was possible before. You know, really strange legislative year with COVID and a lot of bipartisanship. Jerry working in the background to include that in the bonding bill. Everybody remembers the bonding bill last year was way delayed from what is normal in Minnesota. It was approved with, like he said, the $2.4 million extra for a bridge for the passing of 11th Growing. The money was not earmarked. The official course in the Bemidji MnDOT office, the regional office, had not changed course. Jerry worked a lot with the commissioner, MnDOT commissioner, the assistant commissioners to try and change course away from the 12 by 12. I think Vicky had, or somebody, maybe it was Lisa, had mentioned that they were sending out for bids in February of 2021 for the 12 by 12 culvert. That got everybody pretty nervous. If we're going out for bid on that size, clearly we don't have agreement towards a bridge. And this was kind of a big thing. So Jerry was fast and furious, I'd say December, January, February, March, that time frame, sending a lot of official letters. And Vicky, I don't know if you remember, but there were lots. I don't know a number. He kind of laid out all of those letters for us. Where they eventually got to was, again, as I kind of mentioned, because the bridge design would be delayed years in the making because they would have to redesign and we essentially be pushed into their bridge design group. They have a whole group at MnDOT for that, that we could potentially even lose a long-term sustainable crossing. It was a small risk anyway, which to me is pretty concerning because our current culvert it's got issues. So from that, I think over lots of negotiations, and it truly was a negotiation on Jerry's part, they got to an agreement to upsize from a 12 by 12 culvert to a 14 by 14. And so kind of the width, I don't think matters so much between a 12, a 14, and a 20-foot bridge crossing. They're all probably passable by most boats. As I mentioned in the newsletter, if you have a pontoon boat and there's a strong crosswind as you exit the crossing, obviously the wider the better. You're going to have to swing out and avoid hitting the shore less. The wider it is, it's going to be a lot easier to exit. But truly the important thing is the air gap. Our current culvert, if people have been through, and we bought our boat to fit through there, it's 4 feet on the east side and it gets down to 38 to 40 inches from the normal average water level on the west side. So about 2/3 of the way through is where it kind of gets narrowest, or the height is the thinnest. That doesn't help much. That's 38 to 48 inches in the dead center of an arch pipe. So as you get to the edges, the sides of your boat, you're already coming up close. I know I bounced off both sides of that thing, I think, in one crossing, so it's not easy to get through there if people have tried. So even a 12 by 12 interior box culvert would be better than that, but it would not height-wise allow pontoon boats or most pontoon boats to fit through there. So I'm just gonna, are we coming up on our 42 minutes? I'm just wondering.
Scott?
Yeah,
I called and talked to the project manager this week.
Yeah.
And she said the culvert is made and is done.
awesome.
And they're starting the work August 2nd or the 3rd. And then the road will be shut down for 5 weeks. That it is right on schedule. It's going to happen. And that's her words. But the reason I called is I was interested in maybe seeing, because I think it's a real dangerous situation there crossing the 11th Crow Wing. You've got 25 coming in and then 23 right there, and then 2 driveways, and you cross the road and then another driveway, and then 23 and 25. I think roads are 23 over there on the other side coming in at a split. And there seems to be a lot going on. And then when people come off of 34 and north on 64, they're trying to pass and get their speed. And I'm just concerned on the speed there. And you've got people on the, they're fishing, and you got 4-wheelers crossing, and there's just, and bicycles. And I said, it's a tourist area. And there's people walking across, and I said the speed limit should never be 60 miles an hour right there. You've got log trucks being passed and other things being passed. So basically, she passed me on to the traffic manager, and I made a couple of calls and the voicemail was full, but I'm going to continue on that and see if the speed limit can be reduced to at least 45 miles an hour. It would be a lot better, because it's just pretty hectic right there. I think back in about 84, we saw one death right there. Ran off the road right at the roller, hit an embankment. For quite some time, but we're just there seasonal, and so anyone, if anybody else also wants to make a call, I can put the number out there, that the person that has to look at this and approve it, but they said they would probably have to do a traffic study.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Dave. Yeah, if you want to send me an email, I can post the phone number maybe on the website. If that's easiest, or what have you, if people want to make the call. I think that makes a lot of sense. I also kind of question why it is 55 there, and it might actually help with the road noise as well. It's more of a safety concern, like you said, but interesting. So any questions on how we ended up with the 14 by 14 culvert, I guess, before we talk about when it's going to start? And that's good confirmation. It sounds like they are going to start. The culverts are made now. We're not changing at this point, but anybody concerned with the 14 by 14 culvert? The height, I guess, of this culvert should be 7.5 feet. Depending on water levels, it might drop to 7, or possibly with some settling drop to 7. So that's kind of the number you should be thinking about as you're looking at your own boat on how easy or difficult it is going to be to cross through there. The 14-foot width should be fine for everybody.
But didn't we actually gain a few inches there versus the bridge?
Yeah, supposedly the bridge. So I've got conflicting numbers. That when I went back and looked at Jerry's fall meeting recording, he mentioned 8 feet, but when we met with them in February, or I guess it was later, it's probably April or March or April. I think he mentioned it was 7 feet. So I think the culvert is actually 6 inches higher, supposedly, than what their latest bridge proposal was, which was 7 feet. So you're trading six feet of width for 6 extra inches of height, which probably is a good compromise. I think that we'd probably all be better off at 6 extra inches of height.
I like that. And I would kind of bank on them doing a better job of laying the foundation for the culvert now than whatever 50 years ago, 100 years ago. So.
Right. Yep, that's true. And also they had just filled it. So I think there was a lot of settling. And I think if you go back in the records, they had to reset that arch pipe at one point. They had to lift it up. But anyway, I would agree. Hopefully it's much more stable soils now if they're placing it on.
Well, when we talked to Jerry earlier in the year, he did mention that they were very insistent upon the fact that to avoid the settling and all of that kind of stuff, that, you know, the base of the culvert be cemented at no deeper than whatever feet. But what they do, you know, we won't know, but at least they talked about it, so.
Awesome. I just put just in case we lose our connection because we end here, I just pasted the Zoom link that John had set up. So switch to that one. If this one just ends out of blue, we'll all jump onto that one.
So it seems like somehow this meeting got upgraded
Yeah,
by you. I think maybe it's piggybacking on my link and it
Could
may
be.
just be fine.
yep. So we'll keep on this one unless we have problems, but you should be able to go to your chat window and just find that and click on that guy and we'll get rolling to that one if we need to. Awesome. So any other concerns, I guess, on the bridge culvert? This is probably still our main topic.
Maybe it gets done. You know, we just need to- Do they have to disturb the road?
So Josh Keatsman had found on the MnDOT's website, he found the construction schedule. Jerry also confirmed that in his group of texts that it's supposed to happen this fall. And then Dave had just mentioned, after talking to somebody at MnDOT, the culvert sections are done. Construction's supposed to start August 2nd or 3rd, and the road will be shut down for 5 weeks.
The bid letting is posted for June 25th.
Okay, that's also good confirmation that they wouldn't do that unless they're really planning on getting it done this fall. That seems like a lot of construction to get done in 5 weeks. I don't really know much about it, but I guess I wouldn't plan on a mid-September opening. Make plans if you have a boat to remove from the water. I guess folks like me will be hopefully talking to Kim at the resort and pulling it out that way, pay to pull it over there. Maybe I'll send her an email just to kind of confirm that's okay. Because there might be folks using their boat launch that normally would go through the culvert and use the public launch. I just want that not to be a problem, so we don't get surprised by anything. I don't think we have Kim on today. Maybe she got lost in the shuffle of the Zoom thing. I talked to John a little bit in the spring, but I haven't really talked to Kim much this summer. All right, anything else on the culvert? It's exciting. This hopefully will be the last update. We can talk about it in the fall and it'll be hopefully done in October.
I don't think it's gonna be much longer. It's a culvert.
All right. Talk about the grate removal, and I have an email to show.
Anyway. Yeah, your ears not pretty clear.
So, all right, on this screen, can you guys see some pictures now?
You just leave.
I think that's our option is to see what happens. I don't know what this is.
But I mean, do you
Yeah.
just say we're gonna leave, exit,
No,
or you just leave?
Yeah, just.
You guys can see can you see the picture?
Yeah, can see the
Yes.
picture.
All right, so this was last weekend. I headed over to the outlet on 11th. If you're not aware of where this is at, this is Ernie and Pat Wolfheim's
Where's that, Tina?
property over to the, I guess, to the west of where this picture is taking. We're facing south at this point. So this is where 11th Crowing exits in the very start. This is the start of the Crowing River, I guess.
Sure.
We'll proceed south underneath Highway 34. There's a culvert, another arch pipe culvert that goes underneath Highway 34. And as you cross over that, there's like some ponds to the south. And eventually the river goes out to the entrance of 10th Growing. And it enters on the east side of 10th Growing, if that makes sense. So
I don't know where it was.
I've got multiple pictures here. So this is the southwest corner. This is all that's left of the fish grate. Everything else has been removed. I've got other pictures here as well. This was built by the WPA, the Works Progress Administration, back in 1938. So definitely a historical structure. You're talking about something that's 80 some years old. So it kind of withstood the test of time. I don't think these grates were there all along. I think the structure had been there the concrete structure has been there for a long time. The grates were added later. I don't have the dates in front of me. I think we might have talked about it last time, but there were some fish grates that were added when there were some concerns about carp migration in the Crowing chain. Talking to there's a guy that's in charge of the hydrogeology section, kind of bridges and dams. He mentioned that it wasn't effective, or it wouldn't have been effective. So the reason these were put in was to prevent carp migration, but he didn't think they were going to do any good at all. He thought they would jump right over that or even be able to fit within. So there's two reasons why they're not needed. One is that they've never proceeded further upstream than 4th Growing. That's where they've stopped. They have not entered 5th or any of the upstream Growing chains. And two, even if they were in 10th Growing, he didn't think it would stop them at all. So the concern initially from Ernie and Pat was that there were some beavers nearby and they kept chopping down some trees and brush. It was piling up here, and then all that rough rubbish would then be piled up on their shoreline, which is pretty much a nuisance. And it would kind of happen without their approval or consent. So I agree with that, and I think there was some concern from the government agencies as well that they should just go ahead and remove that. But just some closer up pictures. Here's the water height gauge. If anybody's seen that, Ernie and Pat take readings there. So that checks our water level of 11th Crowing. This is, I kind of got back up on shore and looked the other directions. Now 11th Crowing would be to the top of this picture. So this is looking back out at the lake. You can kind of see how shallow it is. It's probably between 6 to 10 inches deep there of water. That's it. And nothing impeding now brush from heading downstream. Really, there was just some angle iron here that was cut. You could see where they used just a grinder to cut that grade away. I think that work happened mid-June of last year. So that's that. I think they're done. He had talked about maybe putting in some riprap to help control the level of the lake. But as they were doing surveys and things like that, he said the height of the culvert is actually setting the height of 11th Crowing, not this weir that used to be there. That was kind of done incorrectly. So he didn't think there was really much point in putting in any riprap to control the level. All right, moving on.
Yeah.
Loon nests. So there was a concern by one of our lake owners on Soley Bay. I believe they're Pam's neighbor there.
Jim,
Pam, you're right on it. Yep.
The Todd,
Yep, I think so.
Yeah.
Alexa or Alexis?
Alexis, and Jim.
Yep, thank you. They are Pam's neighbors. Pam owns the pool property with the peninsula right at the Soley Bay. She's kind of got fronted on both sides, the main part of the lake as well as the bay. So this is, to my understanding, and I wasn't an active member when these were put together of the Lake Association, but one of our members, maybe somebody knows who built these, had put these together. It's actually pretty cool. I crawled up on Alexa's dock just to take a picture and then got back in my boat. But these are some PVC pipes serving as the pontoons for flotation. Probably some cedar boards from what it looked like to me that were kind of stretched across there for this loon nest, and then some rebar, 2 pieces of rebar that kind of come corner to corner, and then some netting up above that, some chicken wire netting. So it looked to be a pretty well constructed loon nest. This one is leaking a little bit. You can see it's dipping into the water in the back corner. And so Alexis is looking for someone to either repair or remove it.
Have they ever seen a loon in that nest? Because I never have. ever.
Hasn't really been placed for the last 5-ish years. We used to, I believe, go back 5-6 years ago.
I
Okay,
believe-
I've been here, and I've never, they nest on the other side of that dock always in the little inlet there between the beaver dam and there, that's where they nest.
Yeah,
I've never seen anything in that little nest.
sure.
What I remember, Scott, is I've got one, I want to say at least a decade, I could be wrong, but they weren't effective. Sod was rotting on them. You had to put a little bit of sod and stuff on that ramp, and it would rot, and it was from what I remember, it was counterproductive. We've got one down here on our land somewhere that's been pushed up there. Like I said, I think at least a decade ago, where this thing was kind of put to rest. So I'm a little bit confused on that there's still nests being used, if they are.
Yeah, I agree. I think it gets to be a little bit of an eyesore, quite frankly. And maybe Alexis knows something different than I do, but
Yeah, that was her concern. Like, let's get rid of it. If we're not going to use it, let's get rid of it. So I
I
think
say
that's,
the same thing. It's just, I say get rid of it. The loons don't use it in the last
Yeah.
7 years.
I think this was voted on a while back, if I remember correctly, that they weren't to be used. Someone called my son, I suppose they didn't want to come to our place, and said, you've got one that's flooded in your property in that corner. I don't even know if you could even get it out. I'll make an effort. I'll put on some waders and see what I can find, but I imagine it might have been some new people on the lake that didn't understand that they're not being used. So they were concerned for the loons, which is, I'm glad we got eyes out there, but it hasn't been used for a long time.
yeah,
I
and
do
bet-
I do wish it would get used, because that over the top would protect the eggs.
Mhm.
But
Right.
it's not being used. So I
Yeah, so
say-
this was a project years and years ago before, like I said, before as an active member, these were built by one of the members. I'm not sure who. It looks like it was well constructed. We have talked in the past confirming what Ken and Pam are saying. They're not being used. They are nesting in a natural place. I think, Ken, you mentioned maybe you're having some loons down there. Carl Madison just posted on the Facebook page that he's seen a nest near his property. He's on the larger bay, I guess, of the east, the larger south bay of the East Basin. So if nobody wants, and I think, so we have 3 of these. There's one, it sounds like at the MX, there's one that Alexis, end of her dock. And then Kim had mentioned they have another one down at the resort. So Kim's trying to place hers out there to see if she kind of wants to get a webcam on it if we happen to get any loons that nest there. Just like what everybody's been saying, they're not used. So I think the likelihood is pretty low that the loons are going to choose to use these. They seem to always just find their natural shoreline spots and do their nesting there. So I think it's up to the association. Do we remove this, destroy it, or does somebody want to take it, fix it up, and then place it? And I'm not going to be that person, but if somebody else who's interested in that, I think it's fine to do. But I do think we need to do something to get it off the end of Alexis's dock. The only other thing I'll mention, fifth crowing, because you can look at the the middle crowing Lake Association page. They do have a loon actually nesting in theirs. It's pretty low in the water, so maybe that makes a difference. Maybe the shoreline habitat makes a difference. Different lakes, they would need this. Ours appears they don't. Big Bass Lake usually puts one, at least they used to, kind of the far side of the lake from the boat launch. If anybody's been back in that far bay, back and to the right, and they were used. But
Interesting.
again,
Do we want to put it out, Scott? Do we want to put it out there if those other lake associations want these? They're theirs to have.
I can email them, yeah, because I have the email addresses of the presidents. That might be a good.
Yeah, maybe that's a great way to use them, repair them, because they are well done, but none of us want to take them. So I'm thinking maybe repurpose them to another lake.
Okay, I'll ask. I'm assuming that nobody's going to take us up on it. But I thought it was good.
Dang it. Maybe they would.
So I think what I'm hearing is we don't want to put it out back on 11th. I will ask the other associations if they want it. If they don't, then we're going to need to get a volunteer or a group of volunteers to remove it and just break it up, throw it away.
Did Alexis say that if nobody wanted it, they could just take care of it? Or,
She did kind of say that, but I kind of was reading between the lines that that wasn't really your preference. I think,
oh,
I don't know. I mean, we could do that. It'd be better if we had a volunteer, a group of volunteers that could go out, grab it, pull it back to their shoreline and then throw it away. It's the very far side of the lake, so I don't really want to tow it like 3 or 4 miles back to our place. Or not that far, 2 or 3 miles, whatever it is.
Well, Scott, I'll check ours. I'll check ours if it's not buried and completely covered, but if I can pull ours out, I can disassemble it. If it's buried and rotted, let me take a look. I would like to at least get the netting out of there so no animals get hung up on it,
Yeah.
yeah, good idea.
or birds, I should say, so.
Must be like
Inside.
No. eating my jelly.
What do you say?
Venus family.
Well. There you go.
Is there anybody that has time that could go over there and pull this one out? Anybody that lives on the west side that has time to do that? It looked like,
John Poyer here. I mean, I'm across lake. I'm not in the bay, but if nobody on that side is willing to do it, I guess I could throw it and get rid of it if nobody else wants it from the other crow wings.
It's made of.
Yeah.
I could see who that was because my window's all screwed up. Sorry.
John Poyer.
Oh, John Poyer.
Yeah, I'm across, so I'd have to tow it. If nobody on that side of the bay wants to do that, I guess I could throw it across or bust it up there and bring it over.
Okay, well, what I will do is I will send out an email after this. I'll say that you volunteered to help, but if there's anybody closer, it'd be great if we had somebody, ideally just maybe 5-10 properties down that tows it up under the shoreline bus.
Yeah.
I don't think it would take much effort.
I'd certainly be willing to help, but.
Okay, sounds good.
Who was the person that said it's not used?
It was me, Pam Raden.
Oh, okay. Is that near you, Pam?
Yeah, it's right at the end of the bay here, at the very end, south part of the bay.
Yeah.
You'll see it. You'll see it. It's obvious.
Do you have access to pull it up and break it up on your side?
Not really. It's on the,
Yeah, I think I know where it is.
yeah, I mean, I'm just looking. I don't know how far we told, I guess we'd have to see. No, I have marsh on this one whole side. You'd have to come around the corner.
Yeah, so if you can see my screen.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Yep.
This is Pam's place. This is Alexis's
Yeah.
place. It's actually sitting right at the end of this dock.
Actually, you could bring it right up on Alexis and Jim's place. It's so close there. You go zip right up on there. And I think that would be the easiest thing.
Mhm.
Because it's solid right where their dock, it's right at the end of their dock there. That's right where your pointer is. Yep.
Here, well,
Yeah, that would make more sense than towing it across.
Yeah, totally. And Jim, I mean, to get rid of it, I'm sure they'd let you do that.
Cool. All right, perfect. Yeah, that's
All
right.
right.
Their dock wasn't yet in. It was just some short sections. The last time I was out, well, maybe it is in. I guess this is the part that's in the.
No, their dock is in, and it's not, the lily pads aren't there right now, so it's
Yeah, I
kind of nice
gotcha.
to do it.
I think I got confused. This is the actual shoreline. This is probably just a marshy area. So it should be sitting right in here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. All right, we'll plan on that then.
Well, Scott, let me know if what
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
response you get from the other crow wing. Just
Yeah.
let me know.
I will do that. Thanks, John.
You bet.
All right. Website renewal, I think we already talked about. I will push for the lowest dollar amount I can on the renewal. Does anybody have an issue with paying for another 3 years of website? And I think the last time, like we said, I think Lisa mentioned it was $250 for 3 years.
That's 20%.
Yeah.
I checked to see.
This is on Green Geek's website. There are certainly other websites that we could use that may or may not be cheaper. The issue is you gotta migrate them. I am not a great website mind, so for me to do it, it was difficult. I looked into it the last time we migrated. They did it for me.
Not quite 7,600.
So if we want to keep the website, I guess I would propose we keep it at Green Geeks and we just push for the lowest renewal price we can. Ends up being about $75 to $100 a year.
I agree.
Agree.
Well, expect that every
No,
week.
no.
Anybody opposed to that, or are we good with, sounds like we're good with just.
Good.
Okay.
That's that agenda.
Now we're getting closer here. So water quality monitor, water level. So water level, I know the OFIMs were able to join, but they're still taking readings. They're right down there anyway. And we got a pretty good update from Ken already in the fall, and COLA happened to post all of our past results that eventually end up on their website. So that made its way into the newsletter. I thought that was maybe more interesting than some of the cut and paste stuff that we were doing in the past. People have a chance to look at that data. I can pull it up here. Maybe.
I looked it up, but I didn't mean much. Water quality data.
Oh. No.
Find it here.
So it 14 feet of, well, they tested. I remember they did that on lunch point.
Oh, okay.
There we go. Come on.
Go down. You take a nap, I might go down.
I guess before I forget, here's a cut and paste of our ice out dates that we've been collecting since 2006. John Pasone and I updated these. That is posted, so you have that information. As we get into the water quality data, there actually seems to be a link maybe between kind of the ice out date and some of the water quality, which I found a little interesting. But here's the data that Cola sent me. So this is a direct copy and paste. And Ken, I don't know if you want to jump in here, if you can see this and want to comment on this at all, but earlier all this data was probably Rich Wilhouse, and since then it's been kind of Ken Emick taking that on.
Yeah, I don't have much to add to it. It's just we just be consistent and take the measure. I did have, I think I mentioned to you, Scott, I did a reading last week, our first one, and that was the worst reading I've ever took. It looks like the lake turned over.
Yep.
Unfortunately, you still have to do your reading. So normally what's, can be anywhere from 17 and 19 feet clarity was maybe 12 or 13. The lake was very dirty.
Yeah.
Hopefully it was, I think it's just, I'm about 99% sure it was turnover, but I imagine our lake is going to get, there's more people, there's more boats, there's more activity. So yeah, we're pretty fortunate to have a very clean and clear lake. Hopefully we can maintain that.
Absolutely. I think these readings are excellent. So they have this trophic status index, the TSI, which takes into account all these values. It's kind of the one I look at, even though Secchi disc is the easiest one to understand. So Ken drops on a rope a white disc of set size, and that's kind of used on all the lakes to kind of compare water clarity. So when it disappears, that's, I don't know if you back up a foot or if that's the reading you record.
Yeah, they want you to go to the nearest half or the next up. I find it interesting from 2011 up until 2017, they're all around that 13, 14 feet. And those readings were taken on the West Basin.
Yep.
And I took over on the 2018.
Yeah.
And the readings are a little bit stronger.
Sure.
And I'll drop it down there until that sucky disc disappears, and you pull it back up and you see the white And I go back and forth, and I'll do it in numerous spots, but they want you to do it in the deepest part of on the lake. And in our case, it's kind of straight out from Peterson's. It gets up to about 58 feet.
Yep.
But I thought that was kind of interesting where the readings actually improved.
Yep, I agree. So one thing, this is really strange. I don't know if this is just me being a super nerd, because I kind of am. That's what I do at work. But if you compare the ice-in dates to some of the, I'm trying to remember if it was Secchi disc or maybe it was the TSI. So the later dates, let's look at 2018 was May 3rd. That had a really high Secchi disc, so it was clear that year. And then like 2017 was an early ice out, and there you got a really low Secchi disc.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if there's something there. We don't have enough data to say there's a correlation, but there might be something there. I suppose you get more growth in the lake maybe, and maybe some more blooms the earlier the ice out is, would be one possible explanation. But regardless, when you look at the trophic status index, kind of the dividing line is 40, from going from, I don't know if I'm saying this right, oligotrophic to mesotrophic. So the oligotrophic, think of like Lake Superior. If you've been on that lake, you can see right to the bottom and 20 feet of water easy. It's super clear. That also means there isn't a lot of plankton and zooplankton in there for fish to eat. It's kind of a trade-off, right? Like the clearer the water is, the less biological activity, the less fish there are. And then think of your just nasty pond, right? That's got scum all over it. Well, that's going to be highly eutrophic. It would have a really large number here. We're right on that dividing line of like a oligotrophic and a mesotrophic lake, where you've got a lot of fish activity, a lot of biology going on in the water, which we want for fishermen, for angling, but we also have really clear water. So it's, in my mind, kind of the perfect spot to be.
It's good for zebra mussel too. They're not, we can keep the lake. Zebra mussels will not do well if we were ever introduced to them. I've been told, and a few other that know much more about it than I do, that we're not a good candidate to produce zebra mussels because our lake is so clear, for obvious reasons that they wouldn't be interested or be able to reproduce.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I'm not saying now let's not be careless, but
Right.
but it is a plus for being clean.
Yep, absolutely. So everybody's idea of their shoreline is different. So shorelines, I guess, is one thing we can do. I think a big one is septic system maintenance. Make sure you're getting your septic, if you live up there, get it pumped every so often. You're supposed to anyway. Fertilizer runoff, if you can, try to avoid spreading fertilizer right near the shoreline. And those are kind of the things we can do, I guess. But it seems like we're doing a great job collectively as a lake. We don't have a large water quality problem. In fact, as Ken mentioned, it looks even better maybe the last few years than it was in the past. Secchi disc, I would guess it's difficult to go person to person. I might measure it different than Ken might, but still, this appears to be a positive trend. The numbers are different enough, I would agree. We're looking really good.
We're on two sides of the lake. Rich had his on his side, so maybe the water's a little clearer over here.
Yep.
I'm not sure why that is. So
awesome. Phosphorus is something, actually, you know what? Another thing that we didn't really talk about is they banned the phosphorus in fertilizer as of, it's only been what, 4, 5, 6 years, something like that. So the only fertilizer with phosphorus that you'll get anymore is starter fertilizer. So, that could have a direct impact on water quality as well. Back to our agenda. How are we doing here? We're getting pretty good. COLA news. I think Kim or maybe Lisa has attended those in the past. I don't know if folks are able to get to the COLA meetings this past year or not. I think they do one big meeting every year. I'm not the best about following up with COLA, I'll admit. But that's the coalition of the area lake associations, kind of the lake association for lake associations, if you will.
they have been doing monthly meetings covering broad topics. that it can now be zoomed.
Awesome.
I haven't been very diligent on that. I should be, but half
Maybe
the
I can-
time, most of the time it's on a Thursday night around 5 or 6, and you leave notes and to do it, and the next thing you know, it's Friday and you missed it or something. It's
Yeah,
just, I need to be better.
maybe I can post the link on the website to that and people can check it out at their leisure if they want to. That's a good point. And I am jealous of all you who happen to live in Hinkley. That's fantastic. I wish I did. All right, that brings us to what's next. So this is an area I just kind of wanted to focus on a little bit or see what people's thoughts were. I think the big focus has been for this lake association in the last number of years has been preparing for changing the culvert. Now that that's all set and in motion, you know, these type of activities only take so much time. So I think we do have extra time and maybe energy and maybe some enthusiasm to take on some new stuff. So does anybody have ideas on what they want the Lake Association collectively to kind of focus in on?
I do have one idea.
Cool.
I've talked to environmental services and I've talked to the DNR, and it's regarding the trail that goes across the lake for the ATVs and the dust in about the middle of July.
Yeah.
It's almost, you can't see it, like it's smoke going across the road.
Yep.
And the DNR said, I asked them, would it help if we put, what is that, the chlorine that stops the
Oh,
dust
chloride. Yep.
on the roads? And they said, well, that would surely be a whole lot better than all that silt that you're putting in the lake. And
Sure.
I think they pulled that trail in 2 times, because each time it's been down about 2 feet, and they
Yeah.
filled it in more. And so when I've called environmental services in Hubbard County, their response was, you know, we really can't do anything because those groups are so powerful.
Huh.
So it was left at that. So I just thought in the future that's something, you know, I'm not objecting to them coming across there, but I think something could be done with the trail. May it be tarred or the chlorine put down to stop the dust and the silt going into the lake. And so that's something that I thought I'd bring up.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, Dave. So those are good options. So we could put down calcium chloride. That definitely helps with the dust. It kind of keeps the trail in a wet condition, if you will. It does increase corrosion potentially, but it's such a short section. I don't think that would really matter to that. Paving it is something that it seems like the environmental groups aren't in favor of because it adds to impervious surface, even though that would absolutely solve the issue and it would prevent it from having to be, you'd have to be continually filling it. You're right. I mean, those things that we have one, they do kind of rip it up. And so you need to keep adding fill. And you think about they're adding fill, where is it going? It's going in the lake, right? 80% of it is probably ending up in the water that ends up on the bottom of the lake. So I agree the calcium chloride would be a good option. I think we would have to then work with the ATV, UTV trails and maybe start up a discussion with them. There are 2 that I know of, and I'm not a member of either. I probably should join one of them. There's the Dirt Devils, and what's the other one called? Does anybody know? I think Nels Kramer, is that his last name? I don't know Nels, but I think he was at least leading one of those 2 groups.
Yeah, Nels has been pretty active in that.
Yeah. So I think we'd want to, and I don't think they would be opposed to it, right? I mean, I'm sure they don't like the dust either as they're flying across there. It's, you know, it's, if you're following somebody, you're breathing their dust essentially. So I don't see why they would be opposed to it, but.
The dog gets the new scenery.
Yeah, right. It's a good idea. I like that.
I wonder if crossed asphalt would work. We've had good luck. I'm putting crossed asphalt here on the driveway and stuff, and really like it. It ties down the dust. I don't know how the ATVs would they throw that in the lake too or not? I don't know.
Yeah, could be. Pea gravel's the other one. That's what's on. That's kind of a tricky one. You don't lose it and it does control the dust to some degree. It's a lot of pea gravel you would need to move in there, or I guess crushed asphalt or crushed concrete. So on the Hemingway Drive, we placed crushed concrete, which is great for preventing washout. It just kind of bonds to itself really nice, but it is extremely dusty. And we're looking at just the 3 or 4 homes that were on there, putting some type of agent down, probably calcium chloride. So if we can control the dust this summer as well. So I can write that one down as well, for crushed asphalt. Thanks, John. So what some of these might end up being is like spin off a subgroup of some type to kind of work with the ATV clubs and maybe the DNR to get some action on that. Unknown, I guess, if we could get anything done this summer, if we could get it done in time, but it's possible, definitely possible.
Well, the trail will be only open for a couple more months.
Yeah,
You know, shut down August, right around August 1st.
yep, true.
And
Normally they're open May 1st through sometime in October, I think, is when the official trails are open.
right.
Close for the winter time.
We'll be shutting it down.
Yep. Okay, so that's one really good idea, and it would have a direct impact, I think, on the lake, and especially the owners around there. You do see that dust cloud, just it's quite a sight to see. Anything else?
Scott, it's Mike Trudeau. Just a question. We live on Pleasant Avenue and we get a lot of traffic coming through here. Unfortunately, people don't follow the speed limit.
Yep.
So what could be done to reduce the speed limit I mean, it's 30 now, but people come through at 40, 45 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And there's a stretch of houses where there are a lot of kids, especially during the summertime. You know, the houses are on the other side of the road, so they have to cross the road to get to the lake. And
Yeah.
it's been some tough times. I mean, we put out the things, the little kids with the flags so that people slow down, but they just look at it and keep going fast. So I don't know if I don't know if that's a city or a county issue or.
I think you are, and maybe most of your neighbors are within city limits.
Yeah.
So it's probably a city jurisdiction issue, and I know we used to have Dan Riggs was one of our members. He sits on city council, so that would have been our avenue. He's no longer a member of the Lake Association, so it's a little more difficult, but he does live there. He might be a first point of contact to kind of help drive that issue, and he's been good with us in the past. So I'm just scribbling some notes here. I agree with you. I've seen people go 40 or 45. There's really no reason for it. You're not saving any time by doing so. I mean, you're talking about less than a minute you're saving, and you're just endangering everybody to do so. There's really no reason why. I try to go 30 or 25 when I go through there with my boat, but is there a speed limit you had in mind? Like, would 20 be better so that people go 30 or?
Yeah, I think 20 would be the speed limit to shoot for, because like you say, maybe at least they stay around 30 instead of 40, I guess.
Right.
Because it's a stretch from Lake Street all the way up to 64.
Yep. I don't know, the city limits do stop as you head your way east. I'm not sure where on Pleasant Avenue that happens. So it might be, that might make it a little more difficult, where the city would absolutely agree possibly to do it on Pleasant, but then once it transitions to the township control, I don't know if we need to get them involved as well. To kind of keep it going all the way to 64.
Yeah.
How about even talking to the cop and having the cop just drive that road a little bit more often?
Yep, that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea either.
Because they see the cop on that road, then they're gonna watch it.
Yep, and I would assume that Dan could be our go-between there as well. I'm sure the police department has some kind of check-in with the city council.
I think Dan just lives a little east of where we are.
Yeah, he's got I think he got a blue house now, is that right? I think it's blue. It used to be light green.
Yeah.
I'm jealous of all of your frontages there. They're all so nice and level. It's a nice spot. Okay. Yeah, those are definitely, that's another good actionable thing, especially safety. That's definitely something that should be first and foremost.
Good.
Any other ideas? I know erosion control has been discussed in the past with the city campgrounds. Since we don't have anybody on the city council, that becomes a little more difficult maybe to do anything with. I think if there was any action that was going to be done, that would be a pretty big project. The city campgrounds are quite long. That's got to be a quarter-mile stretch or something that they own along the south shoreline there of the West Basin. Personally, on our side of 23, as we keep changing and regrading County Road 23, it's getting steeper and steeper. We seem to keep making 23 a little wider every year, which just makes the shoreline a little steeper. Doesn't seem like erosion's a huge issue, but I don't know how much longer that will last as we make that more and more vertical. I don't know what they could do anyway. It'd be pretty hard. Riprap is extremely expensive to install. I wouldn't anticipate a township would be able to take that on. Any other erosion concerns, I guess, around the lake people have? Anybody have ice heaves that are bad? There isn't a whole lot you can do there either, I guess, outside of riprap.
We have quite a bit on our end, not this past year because it was a slow ice out. I mean, it was nice and even, but I believe we created that issue back in 75 or so when we put some rocks along the shoreline. So that gave it something to push up under the marsh. I think you can reclaim your shoreline, but you only have a short time to do that. So I think when we added rocks, we created our own problem because otherwise it's kind of a marshy shoreline or not quite as solid, so it has give.
Yeah.
I think we even, boy, maybe back in the 80s, we might have even put some timber to try to slow it down. And like I said, we just increased the issue by putting that stuff there, which looking back at it, we shouldn't have.
Yeah, it's a complicated solution, I suppose. It is kind of counterintuitive. I would have thought riprap would have been a good thing to install, but maybe not.
But you've got the windows always coming, from the west and coming into our end. So the majority of the ice is going to come this way, and the waves and so on. So it's, yeah, sometimes you just can't beat what's natural.
I've seen videos of ice rolling up like that near the kind of ice out, and it's pretty amazing. I mean, you can take real-time videos and just watch the ice pile up slowly. It's like a glacier moving at super fast speed almost.
Yeah, the power is amazing. Even the sound, you sit out there and you just listen to it, and it's quite amazing. There's some pretty good power going on with that ice when it's going out. I wouldn't want to be in the way.
Yep. Yeah, it's too bad because I would love to just put a dock in and leave it, but that's the reason why you can't. I mean, the ice moves, it shifts, and it just wrecks those.
Yeah, if you did, Kim would have it by.
Yep.
Kim would get your dock by the end of May.
Right, exactly.
Pieces of it.
Speaking of pieces, this is a little bit off topic, but did anybody know what happened to the lift that was down by the resort, the Growing Crest Resort? It was all sawzalled in pieces. It almost looked like somebody hit it with a car. We saw some tire tracks and some car pieces. I think it's the Hausler's place there. Maybe not, I don't know, but his lift is now in about 50 pieces, so something happened. Anything else for projects? I mean, those are two good ones. The speed limit, I would assume, would be a lower work kind of effort. It's just talking to the right person, whether that's actually changing the speed limit or just doing a better job in enforcing. I think those are both good ideas. And then we've got the longer term, maybe the UTV trail, which might take a little more work, but also is a really good one.
Well, it's all going to be redone this fall anyways.
True, yeah, so maybe that's a good point, is that we need to work with them to install a sustainable solution as they're doing that. Maybe MinDOT does have a part in that as they're changing all that roadway. I'm guessing as they are having to raise the roadway, it's probably true. They'll probably cover that all up with fill anyway.
MinDOT's not showing the plans for the culvert at all yet. We'll be able to see him probably the second week of June. Or the first week of June.
Oh, the plans? Yeah, it's on their schedule, but you're right, they haven't shown the plans.
So,
Okay, will that show like detailed drawings, or what does
Yep.
that typically show? Oh, okay. All right, so I guess we've got two pretty actionable things. Do we want to get some subgroups going now so we can working on those, or do we send it out by email and see what kind of interest we get, or how should we move forward on those two?
It's a sign up sheet out, Scott. See who's interested in what project.
Okay.
Via email, I guess.
Yep. So I think we'll be looking for kind of a lead, and then just people that are willing to donate some of their time. So both. Hopefully, the challenging thing will be to get a lead, I guess, but typically if you get 3 to 6 people, that should be enough on both of them.
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
Well, Scott, we'll continue to pursue the speed limit and that kind of thing. We just thought that maybe the more voices
Yeah.
would help, but we can stay on top of that one.
Okay. Are you talking the one that Mike brought up, or are you talking the speed limit on the UTV trail and the speed limit of the crossing there?
Yeah, on the crossing.
Gotcha. Okay.
And if you need letters or anything, just signatures or stuff like that, send them out. I'll gladly sign that stuff, support it anyway, that way too.
Okay, thanks.
That's a good point. Signatures might help. I guess the unified voice does have some.
Emails. Yeah, I mean, I think that was helpful when with the culvert situation maybe. But anyway, I'll certainly support all of those ideas.
Awesome.
Hey, Scott, we need to disconnect. We need to get on the road.
Yep.
So, we're gonna check out.
Yep.
It's good to talk to all of you guys.
Yep. Thanks for taking notes. I scribbled some as well, and I think we're pretty much done with the official stuff anyway. So.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So.
Thanks.
Yep.
Bye, Vicky. Bye, Dave. I do too. I have to scoot out.
Yep.
Okay, thanks for your hard work, Scott, and thanks everybody on the lake. I look forward to seeing everybody out on the water.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Scott.
Thanks,
Yep.
Scott.
Thanks everybody for logging on.
Thanks.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks again, Scott, for all you do.
Yep, of course.
Do we,
Appreciate it.
do we want to do Zoom again next fall?
Yeah, that's a good question for those that are still on here. I guess we didn't get to that. I can ask on email too, but
It works pretty well.
it really does work well in the fall. I would like to maybe next spring have a physical in-person meeting 2022, but I think maybe for fall. The problem we have in fall, like Kim and John are super busy with their resort, and some people have already left because they winterize and some people stay, but yeah, Zoom might be a good option.
Yeah, I agree. Let's do a Zoom this fall again. That works well.
Okay.
Good idea.
So we'll do a Zoom in fall, and then we'll strongly consider maybe doing a meeting, in-person meeting again next spring.
are we choosing a date?
For the fall?
Yeah.
We probably should, because I just let it slide and let it slide and let it slide. So when do we want to meet? Last year we met in Halloween. It's probably a little late, but I guess for Zoom, it doesn't really matter as much when we meet. That's probably on the later side. I don't think we've ever met that late before. Maybe one year we met in early November, actually.
So right around that October 23rd is a Saturday.
Okay,
Back
sounds
to
good to me.
Would the 16 be too early?
I'm okay with either.
Probably better.
It would work well for me to do the Zoom then.
Cool. Let's plan on that then, October 16th.
Sounds good.
10 a.m.
Yeah, probably the same thing, like 10 o'clock, but we usually don't go as long. It's usually maybe an hour and a half. Last year, I think we went 2 hours, but we had a lot of culvert stuff to talk.
Yeah, and last year I couldn't get onto that for nothing.
Yeah, some of these are challenging. Cool. Anything else? Any other new business, I guess? That's a kind of a new business item. Otherwise, maybe we're ready to wrap up.
Good job, Scott.
All righty.
Yep, thanks, Scott.
Yep, thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank
All right.
you.
Have a great year in the water. See ya.
Everyone had a, yep, thank you. Have a good weekend.
Cool. Bye.
You.